On the podcast this week, tax, 20 legitimate tax savings for your business. Welcome to the Profit Cash Growth Podcast. This is the podcast for 6 and 7 figure business owners who are looking to grow a financially successful business. My co-host, Claire Hancott, is a finance director, chartered accountant and entrepreneur. And every week, I'll be exploring guidance and frameworks designed to help you increase your profits, improve your cash flow and grow your business. Right, Claire, this week we are talking tax, aren't we, which we don't usually talk about.
I know.
It's quite exciting. And we're going to actually just mop it all up in one episode, aren't we? We're going to go through 20 tax things in one episode, rather than do loads of episodes about tax like lots of accountants do. We're just going to just hit people with it. I'm just going to fire you all of the things that people said I could do with tax, and you're just going to tell me whether it's legit or not. Basically,
absolutely.
That's the thing.
It's really quick fire. I think it's 20. It might be 18, a random number like that. Anyway, so 20, because nobody will count them all. It's 20 really quick fire tips, and it's the kind of thing that we're just going to give you a flavour of what's available. We're not going to give you the details. And if you do think that any of them might be applying to you, you need to speak to your accountant or drop me a DM or an email.
Yeah, we can reach out to you. Anyway, got loads to cover today. I've got loads to talk about before the news story. First of all, what's this, Claire? This is cold, hard
cash, £15,000 cash.
Now, this is because we've got a supplier who wants to be paid all in cash, and it's quite a large amount of cash. Have you tried to get a large amount of cash out of the bank?
I have. I went to the bank once and asked for £10,000, and the cashier looked at me like I had asked for a bomb or something.
Yeah, it's mental, isn't it? So,
and then I got ushered into a room to answer some questions to make sure that I wasn't being coerced as well.
Yeah, about 1 million questions. So I went.
See, that's interesting. The difference in the experience that you had versus the experience that I had, because for you, I imagine they looked at you like you were maybe doing something wrong, whereas for me, they were assuming that because I'm a woman, I was the victim of some sort of crime and was being scammed out of something.
Well, it's fascinating because
they were being so nice to me.
They said they didn't have enough cash. I wanted £14,000, and they said they didn't have enough cash in the branch. I should order it in advance and all the rest of it. So I'm like, fine, but you know what it's like trying to get through to your branch. It's impossible. You've closed them all. I'm in the middle of Milton Keynes, all the rest of that. And it was really interesting because once they asked me a few questions about what I wanted it for and why and various other things, all of a sudden they had the cash.
Also, they said no originally.
They said no originally. They said they didn't have enough cash in, but they could give me some of it today, which I thought was interesting. So I said, okay, I'll take as much as you've got today, and then can we order it? How quickly can we get it in? So we can get it in for next week. I said, okay. And then ultimately, after they'd asked me some questions, they suddenly decided they did have enough cash we can actually give you it all today. I just thought that was really interesting, how things have changed. Anyway, so getting cash out is really pretty challenging at the moment. And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was a couple of interesting stats. You know, I'm a bit of a statistician. I like stats. This week, I heard another podcast, a couple of things that was really interesting, given the fact that this whole podcast is about quickfire questions. Did you know who the biggest distributor of kids' toys in the world is?
I mean, my instinct is to go with Amazon, but that's probably not correct, hence why we're discussing it on the podcast.
Yeah. It's McDonald's.
Okay. Yeah, clever.
And in a similar vein, did you know who the biggest distributor of tyres in the world is?
Tyres?
Tyres, yeah.
Like car tyres?
Car tyres, yeah.
Actual in car tyre form, this isn't like a trick question, like a bit of a car tyre.
I think it's a bit of a trick question, but I mean, they're real tyres. They're made of rubber and all the rest of it.
I don't know.
Lego.
Oh, that's clever.
No, clever, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really clever. Okay. And then again, total tangent, because this would just surprise me as well, because I just wanted to know if you get this right. Do you know who is the highest percentage seller of consumer electronic goods in the UK? So top 5 retailers that sell electronic consumer goods. So everything from TVs to whatever else. So, and what percentage of the market do you think they own?
Apple?
Nope.
Apple not in the list?
Not in the list at all, no.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because it's it's obviously all they only sell one product, don't they? So it's
Argos.
Argos is second. I'm surprised you said that because I thought they were like a dead business. They are literally second.
AO?
Fifth. So Argos at 12.1%, AO at 3.4%.
I don't know whether this would count or not because it's more like a buying group, but City Electrical Factors?
No.
No, okay.
I can't believe you've not got number one.
John Lewis?
No. I mean, you did say it earlier.
Amazon?
Yes. Obviously, Amazon at 22.6%, massive. Argos second at 12.1%. Third was Currys, and I thought Currys was a bit of a quiet
Currys
dead
was
business.
dead.
Yeah, exactly the same as Argos, about 12%, and eBay at 4.8%. So
it's interesting because I actually deleted the eBay app off my phone. Oh, this is not interesting for our audience, but I'm going to tell
as
you
you
anyway.
always say to me every week, it's not interesting, Simon. It's not interesting.
I deleted the eBay app off my phone this week because I just thought it was shit. I've used Amazon so much. I used to go to eBay all the time. Got used to using Amazon. We've got Amazon Prime. And yeah, I haven't used eBay for probably about 3 or 4 years. And I went on there. I was trying to buy a cat bum, like one of those things to put your teeth
trying to buy a cat bum. Nobody's going to know
and
what you're
I
talking
went on
about.
eBay and Googled cat bum, and it was just not the experience that I wanted.
Can you just explain to listeners what a cat bum is?
It's when you've got like a little hole that you put the end of your tea towel in to grip it in the kitchen.
Do you think people would know that it is? Is it actually called that? Do you have to Google cat bum?
Do not Google cat bum.
Why?
Because it is not the experience that you hope for.
Oh, fair enough.
Well, maybe for some of our listeners, it is a pleasant experience, but it wasn't for me, let's say. So yeah, don't Google cat bum. But yeah, I deleted the eBay app and I just thought that eBay was dead. But then we watch Golden Auctions, don't we? King of Collectibles.
Yeah.
They've done the deal with eBay, so maybe they're not. But just potentially moving into a different area that maybe we don't buy in.
Yeah. I think they're kind of there is a space in that auction space to be dominated, and they clearly do dominate it, and it must be a pretty big market. So it doesn't take much to dominate that, I guess. But brilliant. Well, that was absolutely a wild packed shit chat. We've not even moved on to any features this week.
Car tyres, and auctions.
Getting cash from a bank. I mean, we've covered a lot today. It's literally a lot.
Anyway, this podcast is just quickfire.
Let's move on to this week's news story of the week. So this week, it's not really so much of a news story, but it was in the paper at the weekend. I read in the Sunday Times a column that Rishi Sunak now writes, and it's just really interesting because obviously he's been there, done it, and he can talk with authority about things that happen in the UK, around the world, and decisions that are being made. And his piece this week was all about adoption of AI around the world, and obviously his comments on where we are in the UK. And obviously he's coming from a perspective of, I think we're losing that edge or that dominance that we tried to create, or he tried to create, in AI sort of 5 years ago. Because obviously he was instrumental in launching the first AI summit, which was in Bletchley Park, and has been in a different city around the world every year. So it's been in some amazing cities, and ironically it was in Bletchley first, not far from where we live, for obvious reasons because of the code breakers element. And he's saying that basically, since he's left government, that while the government have occasionally said, yeah, we're AI first, we're really focused on this, and various actually actions are we've completely turned our back on it, really. We're not really dominating that space at all, and we are dropping down the tables. So what do you think? What do you see in terms of AI in the UK? Where do you think we're pitching against the world? Do you think we care enough? What's the...
I don't know, if I'm honest, because I'm not really aware of what's happening in the rest of the world. I can tell you what I think is probably happening. And I watched something came up on YouTube, and it was a news story about AI robots dancing in China. And they'd released basically they had like this dance group, a little bit like what you might see on, I don't know, like Britain's Got Talent or something like that. It was like this really high-tech, high-tempo dance routine. They had real men dancing next to robots. So there was like a man robot, and they were doing like backflips. They were doing insane movements.
Yes,
but what was even more mind-blowing is that they were also doing it with samurai swords.
Yeah.
So they had these swords, and they were explaining like the movement of the grip, of like being able to like change the grip on the hands and release one while tightening the other so that the sword moved in the right way. And like when they lunged forward, they had to move the hands on the pole at the same time as like moving their arms forward. So doing exactly the same movements as humans. And honestly, if they'd kind of like blurred it, you wouldn't have been able to tell what the difference between a human and what a robot is. I just thought, what are we using it for? Like, what are we doing? Are we just like Chat GPT and creating pictures of ourselves in Barbie boxes? That's what we're doing. We're putting
ourselves in boxes and things. We're using it as a consumer. They're using it as a producer, aren't they?
Yeah.
And this thing, like China only care about AI because they want to put it into their manufacturing process and become better and to be able to like dominate the world. And America are kind of like fighting against that in this race. And we're like, put me in a Barbie box. And you're like, what? But it's interesting you just said that because, and I wasn't going to talk about this, but I literally was listening to this podcast in the car on the way here, and they were talking about, Elon's just been on another podcast like he is, and he's really gone into detail about this. But he was saying that we're so close to the point where the AI that we're training and putting into the robots is better than the human. So there's going to come a point where the human can't train the robot anymore. the robots need to train the robots because they'll be more intelligent than us. And so what he's creating is a massive what he's calling a robot play center, where he basically is going to put 10,000 robots in this warehouse to just play all day long and learn from each other. So they will train each other and they will learn. So they will do different moves. They will learn how to better grip things, because they're artificial, they will just train each other to get better and they'll become phenomenal at everything. That's frightening when you think about it. That feels really Terminator-y, doesn't it?
Yeah, that does feel a little bit wild, because what's going to happen when they come out?
Exactly. 10,000 of
Where are they going?
The most trained, they're going to be like samurai fight. It's like the Matrix. They're going to have everything uploaded in their brains. They're going to be the best judo, the best samurai, the best...
And what's going to happen when they open the door?
Like an army. If they're just going to get...
Yeah. Are they free to go and live where they want?
Scary.
Do they have rights? Do you think they might get annoyed at being shut in because their learning's been restricted?
Joking aside, another thing he said, and I know we're drawing this out, but I think people will find this interesting because they probably don't listen to Elon as much as I do. But he also said that in Tesla, they're having to now restrict the level of AI in which they put into the cars, because he said it gets to the point where imagine you're Einstein, but you're trapped in a car. He said that the frustration that builds up in the AI because it can only be within the car means that we could have catastrophic, outcomes from that. So he's having to actually.
What do they mean, the frustration?
Because
frustration is a human feeling. So
it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, but it would be interesting to delve into that a little bit more and see what evidence he's got to display that the robot is frustrated. Yeah. That's a human feeling.
Well, he's whatever. I might not have got the right word, frustrated, but his point is the intelligent needs to be capped at the level is required for the environment that it's trapped within. Because if you give it, if you let it completely loose, it can't display. It's like you at school.
Bored, cause trouble.
Genius, cause trouble, bored, right? Because the intelligence far outweighed the environment in which you could display the intelligence. And that is the scenario that he's really concerned about at the moment. So
that's majorly interesting.
It is majorly interesting. Back to AI in the UK. So a couple of things actually we were higher than I thought in terms of the adoption in our workforce. We've dropped from 8th in the world to 9th, which is obviously really good. There's hundreds of countries in the world. So at the moment, I couldn't believe this. It was higher stat than I thought. The good news for the UK is that the numbers rose to 38.9% of workers use AI in the UK, which I think is pretty high.
Yeah, I'd say though the only thing is do they know they're using AI?
Yeah,
there's an element of it built into systems and automated so that users don't even know that AI is doing something in the background.
Correct.
Particularly,
I think that's good, isn't it? I don't think we're not after a world of AI technicians.
It's not AI adoption, is it? It's a little bit like when you go on Google now and you type something in the Google search and it comes up with the AI result first, and it's like, are you an AI adopter? Are you an AI user, or is it just being fed to you and you're possibly ignoring it?
I think, though, at a country level, it is adoption, because at a country level, it means
I agree,
you built it into your infrastructure, right? I think that's the point he's trying to say. Rather than, I don't think you need individuals to become clever at AI. We need to build our AI into our infrastructure so that, like I say, people don't need to know how the sausage is made. They just need to start consuming the sausage.
Yeah, but they're unconsciously using it.
Correct. But even though that percentage has gone up, we've slipped in the rankings from 8th to 9th, which is not a good thing. But we're actually not, as a country, this goes back to what you say about how we're putting it into infrastructure versus people. They do a sentiment index, an AI sentiment index, about how positive countries are towards AI. And actually, we're quite low on that. We're only at 54%. And the highest countries there are India at 88, China at 88, UAE at 87, and South Korea. It's all the Asian countries that are absolutely just for 88% of your country to be just wholly positive on AI is phenomenal compared to 54%, isn't it? Which is really interesting. It's probably because the narrative in the West is it's going to take your job, it's going to take your job, it's going to take your job. Whereas in the Far East, it's going to enhance your job. It's probably going to, you can be part of the revolution.
Paid more and do more, and
So I think that's it was just an interesting sort of take on it that I came across. I also talked recently, didn't I, with you about how AI. I thought the biggest barrier with AI was integrating it into legacy systems, because most businesses around the UK, they just don't even have the tech that's good enough to integrate it. But actually, Elon opened my mind on that as well by sort of suggesting that, the point in AI is that problem just goes away because the AI solves it. It just does it. It's clever enough to just integrate with legacy systems and create the APIs within the legacy systems to make it work. So actually, you and the human and the business doesn't have to do anything to integrate that. So it could be interesting if that comes out to be, what he says it is. So great. Right. Shall we move from something phenomenally interesting, something phenomenally boring, and talk about tax? Now, it might be interesting for some people. So, Claire, this week we are talking about 20, or we think 20. You're saying a totally legit tax perk. So, what I want to do is I've seen a list online of people saying, here's things you can do and you can get away with and you can do this and you should be doing. And I'm just never sure whether I really trust what I see on social media from people
100%
all the time.
So before we get going on this list, I will say that this comes with a caveat. There is for the vast majority of these, there's no blanket rule that you can claim these. What we're doing is highlighting that in certain circumstances you can claim them. So just get your ears open. If you think that you have one of these costs in your business, jot it down and then ask your accountant and make sure that you're claiming the maximum tax available. If your accountant doesn't give you the answer that you want, or you want a second opinion, or you just want to give me a call, then that is also okay. And I'm more than happy to talk about this stuff as well.
Okay, great. We've got 20, so we're going to go quick with this. So again, like you say, it's not about going into detail. The first one I saw was £300 annual entertaining allowance per couple. What does that mean? Yep.
So this is normally called like Christmas party allowance, but you get £150 per person, per employee per year. But there is a rule that says that it's per person. And if it's customary for you to bring a +1 to the party, then that becomes £150 per couple, £150 per person or £300 per couple. So in my business Profit Cash Growth, if I say to all the team, invite your partners along, I can also bring you, which is £300.
Okay, perfect. So I think we touched on that. It's a bit like the Christmas things we talk about, various things, but it's for the couple. So the second one was electric company car. 3% benefit in kind equals major savings.
Yes. So if you're buying a company car, I would highly, highly recommend that you purchase rather than lease or anything like that you're purchasing an electric company car. 2 reasons. The benefit in kind is really low. It's going up from, I think it started at 2% and it will go up to 5% over the next couple of years. Yep. But compare that as a benefit in kind percentage to a petrol or diesel car, which are potentially up to 35-40% benefit in kind. So you get an annual allowance of a car, which is typically around £4,000 for a 50-60k car, about £4,000, and you pay tax on that as if it was your salary. And so with electric cars, you're paying only essentially tax on 3% of the value, whereas with petrol and diesel cars, you're paying it at 35-40% in a lot of instances. The other thing is if you purchase an electric car, it's fully deductible in year 1 for corporation tax purposes. So it reduces your corp tax bill as well, but only if you're buying it.
Okay, brilliant.
It's I'll say only if you're buying it. There's lots of different ways you can buy cars: HP, PCP, lease, hire purchase, all of those things. Yeah. So the specific scheme that you go for, just ask your accountant which ones qualify and which ones don't.
Oh, amazing. This is so fast. I feel like we should have called this Bust the Myths, because it feels more like that, doesn't it? The next one was turn work trips into leisure. Add a night away to a business trip.
Yes. We were talking about this actually because we are going
Marbella.
we want some video testimonials for the website from some of our customers. And I've got some customers. I've got one in Dublin. We've got one in Marbella. Yeah. So we were like, well, let's just go to those places.
Yeah, we need to film the video testimonials ourselves because the production needs to be of top notch for the website. So
we need flights there, then we need a hotel while we're there. We obviously need food and drink while we're there. The only thing that we might have to pay for is anything that we choose to do for personal reasons. So if we visit a museum or something like that. So you can see how you can turn a work trip into something that also benefits you personally without there being much tax implications for you.
Yeah, it does help when you can take your wife with you as well, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, we also
put your wife as a director on the company, and it makes business, and then you can make sure on the payroll.
Absolutely. The other thing we did is I went and did a speaking gig for somebody, and they happened to be in a very nice spa hotel, and it was 3-hour drive away. So of course, it was reasonable that we spent £800 a night staying in this beautiful hotel.
Yeah, exactly. Next one is free EV charging at work. No benefit in kind, completely tax-free. I'm not sure this is 100% legit. We had a conversation about this recently, didn't we?
Look, the rules in this, I think, have been adjusted over the next 5 years as the rollout of EV cars changes and becomes more adopted by businesses and stuff. But there are very specific rules about what is a taxable benefit and what isn't when it comes to charging electric cars. But you can plug your car in at work, and if your work are providing free electricity, then there's no benefit in kind for it.
At the moment, great. Length of service gifts up to £1,000 tax-free after 20 plus years. I hadn't heard of this one.
Yeah, I mean, not many people have probably been in a job for 20 plus years, and this feels a bit tight. I bet this is one of those stealth taxes where it was like £1,000 50 years ago, and that was obviously quite a big bonus to get 50 years ago, and it's probably never been adjusted. But you can give a £1,000 tax-free bonus to somebody that's worked for your company for 20 years.
You'd take £1,000, wouldn't you? I mean, I know it's probably was that felt like 10 grand when it was probably put in place, but there you go.
It's a bit tight, but this one's a bit better, though.
Next one, suggestion scheme. Reward ideas with up to £5,000 tax-free.
Yes, now there's very specific legislation around this. I actually had somebody ask me about how they could do this. Yeah,
I've got an idea, 20 grand.
It's got to be implemented in the business, so you have to do like a bit of a business case behind it, but there is a very specific piece of legislation about this. If your employees are recommending suggestions that are implemented in the business and deliver savings, the savings or the benefit that it brings to the business has got to be commensurate to the amount that's paid to the employee.
Yeah.
So you can't say to me, Claire, we're going to stop buying these pencils and we're going to buy these ones instead because they save 1p per pencil, and then I pay you £5,000. That's obviously a bit ridiculous. But if you recommend something that saves us 100 grand and I then pay you £5,000, well, that feels quite commensurate, doesn't it?
What about the suggestion to create the software that helps us automate our accruals and prepayments in the accountancy firm?
Well,
Can I get £5 grand for that?
That's just a new business. So,
give me
nice
£5 grand. Anyway, next. Annual health check, one per year, tax-free.
Yes, so if you've got something like Bupa or private health cover, then often they will charge you or provide a free annual health check. So you can, as just a director, you can go book an annual health check. Now, it doesn't actually say in the guidance, there's no legislation around what that annual health check could be. There's some quite expensive health checks out there where you can go get scanned for every sort of cancer and have your blood test done and your heart tested and all sorts, but there's no benefit in kind to you if the business pays for that. So if you're paying for health checks personally, then you could be putting one through the business for each employee or director.
Excellent. Next one is pension contributions up to 60k per year, corporate tax deductible.
Yes. So this is company contributions into a pension scheme. Again, there are specific rules about making sure that the pension that is utilised is commensurate to the salary that the person is on. So just be a little bit aware of that. But this can also be backdated for 3 years as well. So if you haven't paid any pension contributions at all and you're thinking maybe I'm kicking myself, then you can do this. What I would say is, as a director, a lot of people are using Nest as the basic company pension scheme for their employees. I'd suggest that if you're going to be looking at paying in 60k a year, that you're not doing it through Nest. You go and get some advice from a pension advisor. We use
Interactive Investor.
Yeah.
Create your own SIP and then go and get some advice about the funds you want to invest it in. But Nest is pretty weak when it's designed to be very low risk because, if everybody is forced to do government opt-in and then suddenly we're in a high risk thing and lost it, you could imagine the uproar. So actually it's not a great, they don't invest it very aggressively.
Well, do you know what is interesting? We were having the conversation with my team. We'll do a different podcast on this. We were having a conversation with the team about this and they were questioning whether it was the right one, etc. And Chris, our FD, went and did some research on it. And actually, I think on the most risky scheme, it deliver returns of, I think, nearly 14%.
Yeah.
So actually, it's not bad. It's not as bad as everybody thinks it is. It's just probably not right if you've got a large amount of money like 60k, because what we're saying here is that you can do 60k per year and you can backdate it 3 years. So if you do the timing right, you could potentially put nearly £250,000 into something.
I didn't know that I could change my mind and go and backdate it. Like, how many years did you say?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. So if you have a real knock it out of the park profit year in your business and you don't want to draw that and pay a load of tax on it, you could go back and put your allowance in for the past 3 years?
Yes. The reason why we say go and get the right pension advice is because if you have the right pension scheme, you can potentially use that money to invest in property or in the stock market, things like that. So actually you could get quite a sizable amount of money out of your business.
Yes, because you could also buy your commercial property through the SIP.
Exactly.
Kind of so go and get some advice on that.
Yeah.
The next one, something I certainly need very often, an eye test.
Yes. So simply if you use a screen in the workplace, then your eye test is free. So
if I use 3 screens, can I get 3 eye tests?
No.
No? Okay. It's not an eye test per screen then.
But yeah, I mean, let's face it, most people at our sort of age are wearing glasses, contact lenses, something like that. So you normally pay for your eye test and you pay for your glasses. So you can get your eye test through the business. That's completely free. Sorry, it's not completely free. It's benefit in kind free, which means there's a cost to your business and there's no personal tax implications for you. But glasses are stricter. You cannot normally put glasses through the business unless you have a specific prescription that says that you must wear these glasses only for using computers. It's not just general like, oh, you would benefit from using this when you're reading screens, reading books, looking at the TV, etc. It must be a very specific prescription for screen use. And then they can go through the business
That's
too.
quite difficult. I know the ones that like dead thick and that.
Yes.
So it's not really
useful. Yeah. So to be honest, I've never known anybody that can put glasses through the business.
It was quite a bold statement to say that everybody our age or above wears glasses. So I'd like people to comment or drop us a note at marketing@profitcashgrowth.com if you're over 40 and you don't wear glasses. Because I'd love to know how many that is. Shut up. Software and subscriptions is next. Spotify, Audible and YouTube.
Yes. So this is probably the greyest area one I would suggest of all of the ones on the list.
It is.
For example, something like YouTube, we have a YouTube channel. So it's very reasonable for us to say that, well, the YouTube subscription allows us to do research on our competitors and research to create content for ourselves without having to sit through loads of adverts. So there's a reasonable business excuse or whatever you want to call it. Reason. There's a reasonable business reason why we are saying that's a cost to the business and not something that we're utilising personally. But if you don't have a YouTube channel, what's the reason for you using YouTube? And you've got to say that the expense is wholly and exclusively for the purpose of business. When there's dual purpose, i.e. it benefits the business but it also benefits you personally, it becomes more difficult. You've got to demonstrate that the personal use is incidental to the business use. So for that reason, definitely talk to your accountant about these ones. If your accountant just says a blanket no, that's completely the wrong answer and that is your accountant's opinion. That is not tax law. There is no specific tax law that says you can or can't claim these. So it's your accountant should be highlighting the risk and then allowing you to make the decision.
Yeah. The next one, I like the sound of this, is snacks and refreshments. Tea, coffee, fruit, biscuits, fully allowable. Yeah,
so all sorts of things like that. They are classed by what's known as trivial benefits. Your employees, you can give a trivial benefit, which is anything up to the value of £50. So, an apple, biscuits in the office, all of that, chocolate bars in the office, cans of Coke in the fridge, all of that kind of stuff is allowable.
Excellent. Next one is air miles and reward points, earn on work spend.
Yes. So a lot of people have like Amex cards or cards that deliver cashback, things like that. Yep. And a lot of business owners will have them in their personal name. And so they'll be racking up points. As long as they're in your personal name, any benefits like air miles or cashback belongs to you personally, even if you are only accruing them because of work purposes. So I would strongly recommend keeping these credit cards like Amex and stuff in your personal name. If they are in the name of the business, then the benefits belong to the business and then it becomes a little bit more difficult to use them. Yeah. So if you keep the Amex card essentially in your personal name, you can use the air miles for your own holidays rather than having, if they belong to the business, then the business has to use them for business trips.
Got it. This one's very specific. Golf club or other social memberships.
Yes. So a lot of people will have a golf membership or something like that to some sort of social club. Now, again, this is one that is treading in the area of grey is the only way to put this. Now, this won't reduce your company tax bill. Okay, but if you have a golf membership and you take people for work purposes to play golf, so you could say that this is a form of networking, is not allowable as a business expense. What that means is that when they're calculating your corporation tax, it's not taken into account as a legitimate business expense. However, if you pay for it with your business money, then it means you haven't paid for it out of your personal money.
Right, okay.
So you can still use business money for it as long as there's a business purpose to it.
Okay.
So you can't just go and pay for your personal golf membership through this. But if you're getting a golf membership with the purpose of taking customers and networking, then it can still be a business expense. It just doesn't save you corporation tax.
Okay,
but it saves you the personal taxes because you're not having to pay for it out of your personal income that has already been taxed.
What about if I take all of my clients to the gym with me?
Yes, similar thing. Similar thing. Yeah,
okay. That could be interesting. Next one is
I think the difference is with the golf membership, you're often then like getting so many games or so many. I don't know what the terminology is here because I don't play golf, but like so many attempts to tee off. I don't know if I'm saying this right, but often there's like a package that you can book so many games and stuff that's included. Whereas with a gym membership, it's kind of generally it's for you unless you can demonstrate that you're going to a specific class, for example, that has got other business owners in it.
Right.
See what I'm saying? There's a slight difference there.
See you in court.
Yeah.
That's the only way. My next one is mobile phone and iPad, one of each.
Yes, this is the most common area where I see business owners get caught out. Mobile phones, they must be in the company name. If they're not in the company name, then essentially the company cannot claim them as expenses. They can't claim the VAT and they can't claim the corporation tax if they're in your personal name. So get your mobile phones and everything switched into the company. You might think that they're more expensive, but then you can claim the VAT and the corporation tax back.
I don't think they are more expensive. When I did this, we don't pay more than
the likes
consumer-like
of EE,
prices. Yeah.
I believe that EE just allows you to call them and switch it over to a business contract as well.
Dead easy.
So, if you've got your bills in your personal name, you should not be putting them through your business, unfortunately, because they then become a taxable benefit for you. But put them through the business and you can provide a mobile phone and an iPad or, a laptop or something like that to each employee or director of the business, and there's no tax implications.
Excellent. Next one is working from home allowance. I think people know about this.
Yeah, so £6 a week is the standard thing that you can do. If you do £6 a week, you don't need to keep any evidence that there was any cost to you. You can do more. You can have a formal rent agreement, so you can charge what you want. You can also do an arrangement where you have to essentially collate all of the costs and then split it normally on like the number of rooms in your house. So if you use two rooms in your house for your work out of 10, you would claim like 2 out of 10 of your costs, that type of thing. What I would say with this caveat is HMRC have started to crack down in this. Post-COVID, a lot of employees started submitting claims for use of home office.
Yeah.
And HMRC, in the latest budget, they released some guidance to say that there must be specifically written in your contract that your place of work is required to be home and there's no office provision available for you. So you can't just start claiming this willy-nilly if you've got an office that you use.
Sure. And most people wouldn't have that because the employers wouldn't change their contract to their place of work being home, probably.
But as a director, you can write what you want in your contract.
Of course you can. Do you think most directors have got contracts?
No, but I'm sure if HMRC comes knocking, they do.
Great answer. And linked to that is home office furniture as well. Desk, chair, monitors.
Yeah, so similar point. If you're using your home office, then make sure you're claiming for all of this stuff as well. We make sure that all of our team have got the equipment that they need at home and we put that through the business. So it's exactly the same thing. If you're buying monitors for home use, even if your place of work is your office, you can still have additional equipment at home that you're using for business purposes. So HDMI cables, extension leads, all of those little things that you might be buying on Amazon.
Exciting.
Are they for a business?
Okay.
Just think about that in your head.
They pretty much always are in
Exactly.
my house anyway.
Yes, we have a lot of extension leads.
Well, we've got so many extension leads if you like to move things around the house. Health insurance. Oh no, relevant life insurance. Company pays no benefit in kind. What's relevant? Oh, life insurance.
Yes.
Why relevant? What does that mean?
So there's very specific legislation about life insurance and injury and work insurance and things like that. It's basically, it normally pays out if you die and or you get some sort of life-limiting illness.
Yeah.
So that... Go on, you look like you're going to ask questions.
Well, I was just going to say, we don't have life insurance. And the main reason that I don't want you to have it is that I've watched too many programs where if you've got £1 million bounty over your head, I don't know if I can hold myself back. And you see it. Every crime drama is about that, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but there are probably billions of these policies and people don't get murdered.
I mean, if we have a disagreement on the podcast and there's £2 million in it for me, sorry.
It's touch and go, isn't it?
Couldn't it? Okay, so relevant life insurance.
But yeah, you can have this as a director, which, do you know what, as an individual, if you've got a family, if you've got a mortgage, then, personally, this is quite a sensible policy to have anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
And it comes with the additional benefit that you can get the business to pay for it and there's no there's no tax implication for you personally. You can just save the corporation tax. But like I say, with this, read the specific legislation. There's very specific legislation about what policies do and don't qualify for this.
And that moves on to health insurance as well.
Yes. So private health insurance like Bupa, things like that. It is a taxable benefit in kind, which means you pay tax on it at 20, 40, 45%, depending on what your tax bracket is. But it can go through the company and it becomes corporation tax deductible. So if you're paying for, I think Vitality is probably the biggest one that individuals pay for personally. If you're paying for anything like that personally, it's probably worth putting it through the business instead. You can also do it for your employees as well if you want to. A lot of them will come with things like access to digital GPs, so like video call GPs, things like that. So it's a good benefit for your team to have as well, and can also help reduce sick days and time out of the office for doctor's appointments and all of that kind of malarkey.
Excellent. Next one is mentoring and seminars. If it benefits your role, it's claimable.
Yes. So again, just with this, I'd say be careful about Googling this. There is very different rules for sole traders and for employees or directors of limited companies. So when you Google this, you might get some conflicting advice. But essentially, if you are a director or employee of a limited company and the training is relevant to the business and or you completing your role effectively, then you can put any training through the business.
Excellent.
So especially if you're an MD, your role is so vast. You need to know about everything from marketing to HR to economics to what's happening with government policy. So therefore, the breadth of training that you could suggest is quite vast, but also it means things like university courses, all of that kind of thing is covered by it as well.
Great. And my final one is branded workwear.
Sorry, the reason why I just put that last one on there is because particularly with what's happened with school fees, there's a lot of chatter about potentially employing family members they must be in valid roles. You can't sort of magic something out of thin air that your child never works in your business, but yet you're paying for their university degree. But there's all sorts of things that are possible with that.
Okay, great. And then branded workwear. It's my final
branded
one.
Workwear, yeah. So generally we say branded workwear is sort of the black and white rule for most people. If your logo's on it, it can go through the business, but it must be branded. But there are a few exceptions to this, and it says if something's a recognisable uniform, so something like a nurse's uniform, it might not necessarily have branding on it, but if you require something like protective workwear, safety shoes, special gloves, a special apron, all of those types of things, as long as it's recognisable and or for safety purposes, then it can be claimed on the business.
And we'll put a link to the Profit Cash Growth merch page after this where you can get branded lingerie, branded... God knows what else.
Yeah, I'm not sure that lingerie will quite cut the mustard.
As long as it's got a logo on it.
There's a very famous court case around a stripper.
I know.
And also a barrister that tried to claim that I'm not sure what the correct phrase is, their whites and blacks that they wear in court should be allowable, and actually it wasn't allowed. Their suit they could also wear out in the evening if they wanted to. So you've got to be really careful with this one, which is why we generally say if it's branded, it's safe. So, if you wear the same white T-shirt to the office every day and it happens to be Hugo Boss, just go and get a little logo embroidered on it and you can get those through the business.
Well, there you go. And if you haven't heard of any or many of those, then maybe you've outgrown your current account and you need to speak to the team at Profit Cash Growth, profitcashgrowth.com. Little plug there for you, Clary.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right, let's move on to this week's Profit Cash Growth Extra. So I'm going to keep this fairly brief and quick because I've been experimenting with a different AI language model, and I've been using Gemini because there seems to be this wave of movement towards Gemini at the moment from lots of the businesses.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, was using ChatGPT.
The business subscription.
A lot of people have sort of suggested Gemini's really caught up and give it a go and various other things, and they like it better. And so far, so good. I'm quite enjoying it. It's so much less agreeable. It's so much less like dopamine driven and oh, you're amazing. This is amazing. Oh, you're so successful. You're so amazing. You should think of this again. Whereas Gemini just is really direct. It just gives you the answer much more directly.
No emotion.
No emotion, much more challenging with it. And actually the results are, I couldn't tell the difference if I'm honest. The results are as good.
What I think for me, I've been trying to use Gemini as well. And I am finding that because I've used ChatGPT for so long and it's built such a memory about me,
of course,
that
you've got to start
I can
again.
say to ChatGPT, like in an email or something like that, if I say, can you help me write this email or like draft an outline for me? I can say that doesn't sound like me, make it sound like me, and it knows what I mean. If I say that to Gemini, it doesn't have a bloody clue what I mean.
There's a couple of things coming out to deal with that. Immediately there's a quick hack, which is you can you have to Google the best way of doing it, but you can ask ChatGPT to produce an export report for you of,
a prompt for Gemini.
And ChatGPT will give you a big report that you can upload into Gemini and say, save this in your memory. So there's that as a shortcut. But actually, some news came out recently that Gemini themselves are working on I don't know what the word is, but like they're working on an integration thing that would start to deal with that and move, like a switching thing, so you can like move a lot of your memory. So there's stuff going on at the moment with that whole piece.
It's interesting. I wonder if like in 20 years, switching AI platform is going to be like switching banks.
Yeah. Like
highly regulated. There must be a simple process, like switching to a different telephone provider or switching account or something.
Well, we already feel we're literally at the early part of this, and we're feeling the pain of switching already. So it's only going to get worse as it's got years and years of memory on you, and it starts to get better and better and better. So yes, so do try out the different ones out there, because it is interesting. And I think with Gemini, if you are a big Google user, they've got all the infrastructure to bolt this into, whereas ChatGPT, it's just a chat bot. I mean, they don't have the integration with, we talked last week or the week before about them bringing out the sidebar for your Google Chrome that's about to come out and has gone into beta. All these things are going to come out in Google. I think it's interesting because we only talked a year ago about how Google might lose their footing with this, and actually I think they may just take the market
because the user experience is so much better.
So much better. They're just they've waited. They're late, but better. And I think if you look at trends, it's often not the first people that come to the market that end up being the market leader over time.
The edge that Google have got, though, is that they've got the audience. They've got such a captive audience out there that it's almost like, can they do any wrong? Well,
they've also got the business. They've got Microsoft have one set of business, and Google Worksuite have the other set. So the business market is dominated by two players, and so Microsoft are plugging in Copilot, and
what
they're
I would
plugging
say
in Gemini.
It's not the same for Copilot. Like Copilot is not on anybody's radar. It feels
Is it not?
No, because
interesting.
You have to sign up to. I can't even work out what subscription I need to sign up to get Copilot rolled out in my business. We've all got like O365 licenses. I can't bloody figure it out. And I'm
That's
quite
worrying
tech savvy.
for Microsoft, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't figure out what I need to sign up for where, because it's not done through the normal Microsoft license page. It's not. I can't just go in and click a button and say bolt this on. It's so confusing. I don't get it.
Yep. Well, watch your space. That's loops us back round to the start of this podcast where we talked about AI, wasn't it? But
yeah.
Anyway, enjoy the rest of your week. And as always, if you feel like you might have outgrown your current accountant, you'd like to work with Claire and the team at Profit Cash Growth, profitcashgrowth.com. Nip over to the website. You can book a discovery call there. Listen to the back catalogue of the podcast. Plenty to get your teeth into there. And share this episode with any business owners that you think might not be aware of all of these 20 tax hacks that they should be looking at. And do beat your accountant up if you know very little of these, because they really should be advising you on them. And as always, we'll see you for another topic next week.